Hi, hello everyone. A very good evening. Welcome to this masterclass and thank you for joining us today. Very nice to see you all. We will wait for another minute or two so that we can all get settled down and then we can kickstart. Just meanwhile, tell us how are you doing today? Hi, Mitangar. Yes, we are doing well as well. Thank you. Preeti is doing good. Thank you. Very nice to know that. Yes, we are doing good as well. And thank you for joining us. Hi, Arundhati. Good evening. How are you? Hello, Lina. Very good evening. Hi, Kirti. Hi, Neha. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Sapna. Good evening. Okay, I think we can start. So thank you, everyone. It's good to know that all of us are doing well. And welcome to this masterclass on deconstructing your lesson plan, a learner-centric approach. Um, yeah, we can go next. Deepika, you will have to control the slides. Okay, so this masterclass is organized by Trainer Tribe, an online learning community and an initiative of Quest Alliance. So you can share your experience about this masterclass in your social media handles using hashtag Trainer Tribe.
So sorry, just a minute.
Yeah, so you are muted now, and please ensure that you are muted throughout the session. This is just to ensure that we do not get distracted by any background noise throughout the session, and then so that we can have a very meaningful session throughout. Yeah, we can go next. Okay. So if you're joining us here for the first time today, Quest Alliance is non-profit organization that works towards transforming school to work ecosystem. We can go next. Yeah. Using educational technology, capacity building, partner collaborations, and advocacy to create real impact that changes life. We can go next. So as of 2020, we have about 6 partnerships with Directorate of Employment and Training for Youth program. And we have about 9 partnerships with state education departments under secondary schools program. and 2 partnerships with State SSA for Anand, and 1 partnership with Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship. We can go next. So through these partnerships, the impact has been that we have reached about 1,641 government schools, 4 lakh plus students, and also we have worked with about 40 plus training partners across industrial training institutes, and also reach about 6 state governments with MOU signed, and impacted about 130,000 young people in 12 states. Yeah, we can go next. Yeah, so just a moment to thank all our donors and partners for their continuous support and for spreading the word and getting you folks around here. We can go next. Yeah. So coming to the main session today, we have Deepika with us. She is the associate of new initiatives at Nalanda Way Foundation, who is doing incredible job in the space of education. So we are very excited to have Deepika with us today, and thank you, Deepika, for joining us this Friday evening. And we are all excitedly looking forward. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Lyman. I am absolutely excited to be doing this session as well. So good evening to all of you. And for those of the educators out there, as I'm given to understand, it's a mix of people, and we have everybody right from people who are educating young children at the age of 3 right up to educators handling adult educators and adult education practices. So this session is going to be slightly free flowing, and it's going to be slightly more philosophical than you might expect of most seminars. So I would expect that it would be a lot more interactive, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you today about the session, and also inviting your comments and talking as educators about how we can be improving what we are doing to bring about and to best meet our educational goals. So without any further ado, let's plunge into the session itself. So the essentials of a lesson plan. So Quest Alliance today has asked me to talk about deconstructing a lesson plan and how we would go about doing a lesson plan which is learner centric. So before we understand what a learner centric lesson plan is, I think it's essential that we look at what a lesson plan itself is. So I'm sure most of us are familiar with how we go about constructing lesson plans. So we would have the subject, we would have the date, and we know that what particular topic that we're doing and for what grade. We put down the teacher's name, and we put down extremely particularistic activities. We list our objectives, and we have all our notes, and we're all ready to go into the classroom and get started. And we are all ready and very eager to be engaging with our children, and we know that in a particular day, in a particular session, this is what I wish to accomplish in the classroom today. So having all that in mind, and understanding that the classroom itself is a very dynamic, very changing space, let's understand how it is that we are going to be meeting our educational goals. So I have this very structured lesson plan in place already. But we know so far through plenty of ASSER reports, plenty of assessment reports, that in India, the educational goals are not being achieved like the way we would like to be achieving them. Year after year, we see through ASSER reports that children are not meeting literacy standards, they're not meeting numeracy standards. Children are reading below their grade levels, and they're not able to cope with the pressures of academia as they grow up the ladder. And there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of general negativity that is associated with the classroom and the teacher and what goes on in a school. So what we are looking to create is a stress-free, joyful learning environment where the child can be engaged in a very productive manner, in a very manner that inspires a lot of curiosity and creativity and critical thinking. If critical thinking and creativity are the most important aspects of education for us, and right now largely we are unable to achieve those objectives, what is it that is stopping us from achieving these objectives, even though we have all the structures and tools in place for us to make this happen? So this is where a term called learner-centric education comes into play. So what does learner-centric actually mean? So we are placing the student at the center of the process. Are we already not doing this in schools? People may ask, but at the moment it's all slightly all over the place. So having said that, the school is an extremely dynamic space and an extremely complex space, a space where a lot of things are happening at the same point of time, where the teacher may be pulled into a lot of activities like administrative work, and the fact that he or she has to deal with several classrooms with several grades and possibly multi-grade classrooms. At times we forget that the learner is at the center of this process itself, and we might be tempted to just plunge on with our day by just finishing whatever is there, what we call portions, what we call syllabus, and moving on, because we also have lives to conduct at the end of the day. But there is a certain way in which we can bring the learner centrism right into our lesson plan itself, and making our lives easier as well as the students' lives. So essentially, for a learner-centric lesson plan, we are looking at moving from an instruction-based approach to a dialogue-based education approach. So what does this mean? Is it already not happening in the classroom? The typical Indian classroom, you walk in and you will see all the children facing the teacher and the teacher talking in the classroom, and the children are probably silent. They may be engaged in very few activities, but that is also extremely instruction oriented. If we are to shift towards a space where education is giving us critical thinking and creativity skills, we're also looking at a space where they're allowed to talk and where they're allowed to have a dialogue with the teacher to construct the knowledge that they're gaining from the classroom. This is applicable across the width and breadth and depth of education itself. So I could be talking about an Anganwadi center, and I could also easily be talking about an engineering classroom, or an architectural classroom where they're discussing extremely specific topics, and or it could even be dealing with very simple things like math, like I'm learning addition and subtraction. So this is kind of a philosophy that is applicable across the board, and it's extremely possible to include in to introduce dialogue based education to make our educational practices more inclusive, more creative, and more thought provoking. So learner centrism is essentially shifting our focus from merely instruction based education to having a dialogue based education. This kind of scenario helps students construct concepts rather than merely take in knowledge. You're not, I'm sorry, is there a problem? So moving on. So we're helping students construct concepts rather than merely letting them absorb knowledge in a very passive manner. They're playing a more active role in the classroom itself, where they are engaging in the process of education and helping themselves construct the knowledge and becoming very active learners themselves. So why should we become learner-centric? There are a lot of reasons, there are a lot of justifications to why we should be moving towards becoming a more learner-centric, becoming more learner-centric educators ourselves, and constructing the system such that it allows for learner-centrism. So we know that, starting right from the age of, starting from the point when children are born, they are learners. They are always learning from the environment around them, even though we may not recognize it as typical learning, or we may not recognize it outside the classroom. They are picking up a lot of skills, they're picking up a lot of knowledge, and it's helping them grow and evolve. So it's extremely essential that we help them bring that knowledge into the classroom and utilize it to understand themselves better, and to assimilate and acquire more knowledge, and actually even act on that knowledge. So to put the knowledge of the learner outside the classroom is in a way impeding our progress as teachers, as educators ourselves, because we are not making use of the wide variety of knowledge that the learner already is bringing into the classroom. So it's extremely essential that we construct our lesson plan, we construct our school day, which so that it becomes more inclusive of the knowledge that the learner is bringing into the classroom. And secondly, a case for learner centrism is helping learners become self-learners. So I think most of us through our schooling days would have seen that right from grade 1 to grade 12, we have only heard our teachers talk, and we've never, and when it comes, and we would have gone through a process where we're just learning and then we are just doing an assessment and we're not sure what we've learned in the whole process. So only as we grow as self-learners, do we start picking up our own skills, do we start improving our skills of curiosity and creativity, that we start actually having an interest in what we are learning. So when we become self-learners and when we become independent learners, we help ourselves learn more, expand our knowledge systems, and act and further those knowledge systems themselves. So it's extremely important that this happens, and a good way for this to happen is through learner centrism. And thirdly, fostering metacognitive skills. So there are a lot of times when metacognition does not necessarily happen in the classroom. What do I mean by metacognitive? It's basically thinking about thinking. I learn information in the classroom, I learn facts, I learn dates, but am I learning to think about those facts and dates? No, not right, not as of the moment. There's still a long way for us to go where we are able to bring this sort of metacognitive thinking skills into our classroom, and where we are allowing children to think for themselves and to think about thinking itself. Through amendments to the previous national education policies, and with the introduction of the latest national education policy, a large emphasis is on critical thinking and fostering creativity and the ability to have a scientific temper and to think about a lot of things. So it's extremely essential that when we're thinking about this, we're also thinking about the child themselves or the learner themselves, and how they think, and what is the best way to aid them to become self-learners and people who think for themselves. So having said all this, does it mean that we have to completely overhaul how we do our lesson plans? There is already a set way in which we are doing things, and there's already a traditional way in which we teach. And if we were to overhaul these systems, it obviously means a large scale development of capacities. There's not enough capacity to build, and there's not enough people who are doing it. How do we go about doing it? Are we still a long way off? The answer would be no. We are already in possession as teachers, as educators, and of a lot of knowledge of already what's happening in the classroom. So it's a question of putting together all of this and helping them come together to coalesce in a manner which is organic and which allows for the learner centrism to take place. So the glue for all of this is dialogue-based education. So how do we bring about dialogue-based education to push for a learner-centric lesson plan? So I've listed a couple of points here, but at this point, I would like to pause and ask invite some questions from the audience on the concept of learner-centric education itself. So please either raise your hands or drop your questions in the chat box.
Deepika, before that, there was, would you like to check the comment box? There was one comment from Mamta saying, if you are comfortable in Hindi.
I'm not so comfortable in Hindi, but if Lyman or someone else would like to, share a summary or translate it to Hindi at this point, I'd be happy to pause.
Yeah, so Sanjana, would you like to do that?
Yeah, I can do that. Are you able to hear me, Lyman?
Yes,
so
yes,
अभी मैम मतलब अभी हम बात कर रहे थे लर्नर सेंट्रिक लेसन प्लान का. इसका मतलब ये है कि हम अपने लर्नर्स जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं हमारी क्लास में उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए कैसे एक लेसन प्लान बना सकते हैं. और उसके लिए जो दीपिका जैसे कि बता रही थी कि हमें हमारे जो लर्नर है, जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, उनकी प्रोफाइल को कैप्चर करना चाहिए, उनका पर्सोना बनाना चाहिए, मतलब उनका व्यक्तित्व बनाना चाहिए और उसको नोट डाउन करना चाहिए. और उनके जो इंटेलिजेंस होता है, जो मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंस की हम बात करते हैं या फिर हम इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस की बात करते हैं, तो हम कैसे अपनी जो एक्टिविटीज है, मतलब जो हमारी क्लासरूम में हम लोग जो एक्टिविटीज है उनका एक कैसे पूल बना सकते हैं, मतलब बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज को कैसे एकत्रित कर सकते हैं एक जगह पे, ताकि हम अपनी जो लर्नर्स है क्लासरूम में उनकी इंटेलिजेंस या फिर उनकी नॉलेज को टेस्ट कर सके. और इसी के तहत वो ये भी बता रही थी कि कैसे हम लोग हमें ये भी ध्यान रखना है कि हम इंडिविजुअल एक्टिविटीज या एक बच्चे एक स्टूडेंट के लिए एक्टिविटी को कैसे बनाएं और कैसे कि हम ग्रुप एक्टिविटीज बनाएं जिसमें बहुत सारे समूह में बच्चे एक साथ एक्टिविटीज करेंगे। हमें अपने जो हम लोग ये जो लर्निंग सेट हमारा जो ये लेसन प्लान है जिसको हम सत्र भी बोलते हैं हिंदी में, सत्र मतलब जो हमारा लेसन है, हम जब भी हम स्टूडेंट्स की बात करते हैं अपनी कक्षाओं में अपने बच्चों की बात कर रहे हैं तो हम कैसे अपना जो ये लेसन प्लान है हमारा जो ये सत्र है इसमें हम कैसे थोड़ा सा अपने लिए टाइम निकाले 5 मिनट या 10 मिनट की मतलब ये देखने के लिए क्लास में जो हमने एक्टिविटी का जो हमारा करवा रहे हैं वो उसका वो कैसी जा रही है, बच्चे इंगेज हो रहे हैं या नहीं हो रहे हैं उसके बारे में, उसके लिए भी थोड़ा सा टाइम हमें देना पड़ेगा। और कैसे, और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज यहाँ पे जो है वो है कि हम अपने जो बच्चे हैं हमारे जो लर्नर है हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं हम कैसे उनके लिए अपॉर्चुनिटीज बनाएंगे कि वो क्लास में बोले। मतलब बहुत सारे बच्चे होते हैं कि कुछ शांत बैठे रहते हैं, कुछ बहुत सारे बोलते हैं, तो सबके लिए कैसे ऐसे माहौल या फिर ऐसा वातावरण कैसे बनाए कि सारे बच्चे बोले क्लास में अपने मतलब इंगेज हो, एक दूसरे से बातचीत करें। और कैसे स्टूडेंट्स जो हमारी कक्षाओं में जो डायलॉग्स होते हैं जिनको हम ये भी बोलते हैं डिस्कशंस होते हैं, उसमें कैसे वो सब बहुत सारे के सारे जैसे भी बच्चे हैं उनका जब हम व्यक्तित्व बनाएंगे जिसको हम परसोना भी बोलते हैं, तो वो कैसे उनके बारे में जानेंगे। तो हमें ये भी ध्यान रखना है अपने लेसन प्लान में कि हम सारे के सारे बच्चों को कैसे डायलॉग्स में इन्वॉल्व करेंगे। और एक और चीज, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीज जो दीपिका ने अभी बताई जिसको हम प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग भी बोलते हैं, प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग ये होती है कि हम किसी चीज का मतलब किसी प्रोजेक्ट के माध्यम से अपनी कक्षाओं में अपने बच्चों के लिए कैसे बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज को क्रिएट करें, कैसे नई नई अपॉर्चुनिटीज सीखने की नई नई अपॉर्चुनिटीज लेके और कैसे उनकी प्रक्रियाओं को भी एकत्रित करें। आई थिंक वी कैन गो अहेड। आपको अगर कोई भी प्रश्न हो तो आप चैट बॉक्स पे लिख सकते हैं। आई होप आपको समझ आया होगा ममता मैम, या फिर आप जस्ट चैट बॉक्स पे बोल दीजिएगा। वी कैन गो अहेड दीपिका।
So quickly, I think Sanjana has covered this particular slide in Hindi as well. So for the benefit of the English-speaking audience, what we're trying to get at basically is for creating a learner-centric lesson plan. We already are engaged in a lot of processes where we are capturing the learning levels of the students. We already have a pool of activities that address multiple intelligences like auditory learning, visual learning, traditional learning methods, kinesthetic learning. We already have several pools of activities and several theories that talk about these things. We already are engaging in activities where the child is engaged on their own and they're engaged in a group to learn, to create. And we also have allocated specific time in the classroom to see how, to observe how the class is engaged in the activity process itself. The only missing element probably here is we need to create opportunities for students to be able to speak in the classroom, because a lot of dialogue gets suppressed in the classroom. Children are not able to express themselves, or learners are not able to express themselves in the classroom. This is possibly why we don't know, or we are unable to fit the missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle as to why we're not able to achieve the learning goals that we want to achieve. If we provide more opportunities for the students to be able to express themselves either through speech or through art or through other forms of expression, I'm sure we'd be able to create a more effective lesson plan where we know that the child is actively learning in the classroom. So fundamentally, these are the steps towards building a learner-centric lesson plan. And I'm sure this is how we have already been conceiving of our approach to building of knowledge systems itself. But just to reiterate, I am putting in the pyramid, if you notice, the bottommost part of the pyramid refers to remembering skills. So retention is an extremely important aspect of building knowledge systems and building an education system itself. And as often as we reject rote learning and we reject memorization practices, I would be so bold as to say that we should not entirely reject retention, and we should not entirely reject memorization skills, because these are skills that we have relied on to improve our own understanding and to improve our own memory of a lot of things, of a lot of subject matter itself. The way we structure these practices could undergo a lot of change. Possibly we could introduce different kinds of pedagogies to approach this. This could be through art, through practicing patterns, through music, through movement. All of these are very integral towards creating a system where the child is able to, or the learner is able to retain what they are learning in the classroom. The second step towards building this pyramid is understanding. So at this point, they already know, the learner has already retained a certain amount of knowledge about the subject matter in hand. So this could be something as simple as the alphabet, or it could be anything as complex as quantum physics. So if we remember what we are reading, the next step towards it is understanding. With repeat readings and with repeated engagement in activities of around this structured around the subject matter, we are engaging them in some level of understanding of what is happening in the process itself. So with repeated, say, if I'm building a lesson plan for literacy, with repeated readings of a book or a story, I am slowly pushing them towards understanding. So with each reading, there might be something new that they discover in the text itself or in the story, and they're able to understand it on a plane higher than what they had understood previously. The third step in this pyramid is application or applying. So to extend the idea of the literacy concept itself, at one point of time, I have completely understood the text. Now it's time for me to start applying. So I begin talking about the text. I begin structuring my thoughts around the text, and possibly I'm also looking at reproducing the text that I've seen there. This could be achieved through very simple assessments like summarization, or repeating, or a viva voice kind of structured approach, where the child is able, or the learner is able to explain what they have understood through the process itself. And very easily this can be replicated, this concept can be replicated for other modes of learning or other knowledge structures. So if I understand computer science, if I understand coding, I'm also able to apply this concept by recreating a code, or by writing a small piece of code. So that is where my application level is at. Now, fourthly, there is analyzing. So at the analyzing level, I'm able to understand the text, and I'm able to push the envelope on the text by asking my own questions on it. This is an important aspect of critical thinking, and I'm beginning to expand the horizons of what I already understand. I do not just merely accept what is there in the text, but I'm also beginning to question what is there in the text. I'm also beginning to assign values to it as to its truth status or its false status. And I'm beginning to understand and delve and try to widen my knowledge and try to validate the knowledge. So this is what is happening at the analyzing level. And then you have the evaluating level, where after my ability to retain the concept, to understand the concept, to apply the concept, and my ability to analyze the concept, I'm finally able to evaluate it. So after I could say that evaluation is the end point of analyzing. So after having analyzed the subject, I'm able to come to a conclusion that this is what I believe about the concept, and this is what is possibly the author is trying to tell me, or possibly that the theory is about, and this is how I will entrust my belief in this particular theory and talk about it. So largely, this is the process of building a lesson plan itself. Now, there's another aspect of creation. So I would say that creation is the highest form of knowledge. So through the levels of remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating, we're allowing the learner to recreate the knowledge, assimilate, acquire, and kind of revisualize what they have already learned. With creating, they're going one step ahead, and they're coming up with their own ideas. They're able to assimilate the crux of what they've learned, and they're able to expand on it and push the envelope on what is already existing. This is also an important step in critical thought, and this is something that we should hope to be achieving through our educational aims. It's extremely aspiratory, but as long as our lesson plans are built to at least include the 5 steps that I was talking about, we're still good. But it would always be good to have one aspect of creativity that we can bring into our lesson plan itself. And essentially, this should be our educational goal. The point of creativity is a very important aspect of the educational goal. So I'll pause at this moment. If Sanjana wants to translate what I've said so far to Hindi.
Sanjana?
Deepika, I think we are good. We can go forward.
Okay, cool. So it's about privileging the process over the result itself. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about essentially assessments. So when it comes to assessments, there have been a lot of changes over the years. We've moved from merely summative assessments to thinking about formative assessments. We've been talking about CCE for a long time. And with the introduction of the National Education Policy, the assessment system is going to see a lot of changes in the future, where we have a separate assessment body and we have standards that are going to be introduced, and we can look forward to the kind of structured approach that we can assume for assessments, like we have been doing for curriculum development and teaching itself. So dialogic education is essentially looking at how we construct knowledge rather than merely looking at if the knowledge has been constructed already. So essentially, over a period of time, over the academic year, the dialogues, the kind of dialogues, the quality of dialogues that we conduct with our students will give us a lot of information on how they are processing knowledge and how they are constructing knowledge, rather than merely having an end-term assessment which merely tests what is the retention of the knowledge that they have, because we don't know if that process has gone over there. The over the year observation and over the year dialogue and the process of constructing the knowledge itself would give us a better idea of how students are learning and if they are learning effectively at all. So this could be as simple as an ipsative form of assessment, where at the beginning of the year, I could be asking a particular question on, say, literacy or on their understanding of a particular topic. And if they are answering in a particular short manner, I would expect that by the end of the academic year, with their growing knowledge, they are able to expand on the topic. They're able to talk more about it. They're able to critically evaluate the topic and give me their opinions on it. That is progress over a period of time. And that is where I'm privileging the process over the result itself. So I have created a sort of a sample lesson plan for us to go through to understand how exactly we can construct this and to basically put into action what I've been talking about for the last few minutes. So I've taken the concept of literacy, seeing as my expertise area is from teaching literacy and from developing curriculum for literacy. What I would advocate is that this sort of approach, this sort of philosophical approach is applicable across the board and can be carried into various forms of knowledge and learning, into various specializations. And it could also include a very interdisciplinary approach where we are bringing in various knowledges to act in the classroom to understand and formulate the idea of many concepts. So for teaching literacy, there are various ways in which we can be teaching literacy. There's arts, there's storytelling, there's theater, drama, music, and then there's play-based pedagogies. And there's the very obvious direct instruction as a method of teaching, where I am using a book or the board to teach the learner very specifically what is created for me in the form of a textbook. So these pedagogies could be multiple, but there is the binding glue of the pyramid that we had looked at earlier, and also of the dialogic approach. So we are also looking, so when we are planning a literacy session, I'm looking at the number of sessions it requires for me to take the student from the remembering level in the pyramid to the evaluating level in the pyramid. So how many sessions would I need constructively to sit with the learner and take them through the whole process itself, where they start from merely retaining the concept to the point where they're able to evaluate and provide a critical opinion on the concept itself. And then I'm providing some scope for a creation level concept, where they're able to engage with the ideas that they have acquired in the classroom and push the envelope and try something for themselves. And also finally creating a scope for dialogue and interaction with each activity. It is not necessary that each activity should have an element of talk where the talk could go all over the place. This is where the concept of an accountable talk comes into play. So I am not merely talking in the air in the classroom. I'm not merely asking the students if they have understood the concept, but I'm having a meaningful conversation with them about the concept itself and the activity that they have engaged in.
Deepika, before you move forward, I think Sanjana can quickly translate on the previous slide.
Sure. Deepika, can you go to the slide in which you are talking about analyzing, remembering and all?
Sure.
I can quickly do it, like 2 to 3 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. So यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे थे एक लर्नर सेंट्रिक लेसन प्लान की, जैसे कि मैंने बताया आपको, एक शिक्षार्थी हम जब कक्षा में मतलब हम शिक्षक की तरह जाते हैं तो हम कैसे एक अपना सत्र बना सकते हैं। तो इसके डिफरेंट स्टेप्स दीपिका ने बताया। सबसे पहला था हम रिमेम्बरिंग, जिसको हम समझ मतलब याद रखना भी बोलते हैं। दूसरा है अंडरस्टैंड, इवैल्यूएटिंग और एनालाइजिंग। इसका मतलब ये है कि हम लोग कैसे अपनी कक्षा में विश्लेषण कर सकते हैं, कैसे हम मूल्यांकन कर सकते हैं, कैसे हम ये देख सकते हैं कि हमारे जो बच्चे हैं, विद्यार्थी है, वो सीख पा रहे हैं, याद कर पा रहे हैं या नहीं। और जैसे ही हम अप्लाइंग फेज में आते हैं तो हम ये देखते हैं कि हमारे जो शिक्षार्थी है वो आवेदन करने में सक्षम हो पा रहे हैं या नहीं हो पा रहे हैं। और आवेदन जब भी हम लोग अप्लाई करने के लिए जाते हैं, मतलब हम किसी भी चीज को
Sanjana, we lost you. Okay, I think meanwhile.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I was talking about आवेदन। हम लोग आवेदन, जैसे ही हम कक्षा में आवेदन करने जाते हैं तो हम ये देखते हैं कि हमारे जो विद्यार्थी है वो जो उन्होंने सीखा है उसको वो संक्षेप में लिख पा रहे हैं या नहीं लिख पा रहे हैं। वो इस विचार पे हमें समय अपना देना पड़ेगा कि मैं किस तरीके से जब मैं पाठ पढ़ा रहा हूँ या फिर मैं शिक्षक की जैसे किस तरीके से पाठ पढ़ा रहा हूँ तो संक्षेप में उससे क्या सीख रहे हैं, क्या प्राप्त कर रहे हैं। और जो लास्ट वाला जो स्टेप जो एनालाइज, हमें ये सवाल करना है कि यहाँ कि मैंने क्या सीखा है और सीखने से मेरे को क्या, जो मैंने ज्ञान को निश्चित किया है उसकी मात्रा को कैसे परिभाषित करना है। और इधर ही पे एक जो छात्र होता है, हमें एज अ शिक्षक, एक शिक्षक ये देखता है कि छात्र खुद के मूल्यांकन है उसकी अवधारणा करने की क्षमता रखता है या नहीं रखता है। वी कैन गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। और ये जो लास्ट जो हमने मूल्यांकन की बात की थी या फिर एनालाइजिंग की बात की थी, इसमें ये भी ध्यान रखना है कि ये सबसे अंतिम जो हमारा एंड होता है तो हमें इसमें बहुत ही अच्छे से ध्यान अवधारणा की मूल्यांकन की अवधारणा की क्षमता के बारे में बहुत अच्छे से सोचना और उसको नोट डाउन और व्याख्यान करना है। ओके, सो यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग चीज जो बताई थी दीपिका ने, वो थी कि हम लोग कैसे एक जो लर्निंग प्रोसेस होता है, जो सीखने का जो हम कक्षा में सिखाने के माध्यम से जो हम जाते हैं उसको हम रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड ना बनाकर एक रिजल्ट की, जैसे कि आजकल हम देखते हैं कि हर कोई मूल्यांकन रिजल्ट के बेसिस पे करता है, उसको ना बना के हम लोग एक प्रोसेस की तरह देखें, उसको एक एक्सपीरियंस या जर्नी की तरह देखें। तो उन्होंने ये जो 4 स्टेप्स है, इसकी ये फैक्टर्स निकाले, ये स्टेप्स निकाले कि एक जो टीचिंग लिटरेसी के थ्रू एक लर्नर सेंट्रिक लेसन प्लान या फिर हम एक शिक्षार्थी को ध्यान में रखते हुए सत्र का कैसे बना सकते हैं, एक अच्छा जो हम सत्र बोलते हैं हम अपनी कक्षाओं के लिए कैसे बना सकते हैं। तो उसमें सबसे पहली चीज जो दीपिका ने बताई वो थी कि हम कैसे आर्ट्स को या फिर स्टोरीज को, कैसे कहानियों को या फिर जो हमारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस एक्टिविटीज वगैरह जो हम करा रहे हैं अपने क्लासरूम में, कैसे उसके लिए इंस्ट्रक्शंस और डिफरेंट पढ़ाने के डिफरेंट तरीकों को निकाल सकते हैं। और उसके बाद हम कैसे जो हमारे जो सेशंस है, जो हमने कक्षा में जो हमारे विद्यार्थी ले रहे हैं हमसे, वो उसको याद कर पा रहे हैं, वो उसको रिमेम्बर कर पा रहे हैं। और वो इवेल्युएटिंग लेवल में आने के बाद जो हमने विश्लेषण की बात की थी उसमें, उसके बाद वो मूल्यांकन खुद को कर पा रहे हैं या नहीं कर पा रहे, वो प्रश्न पूछ पा रहे हैं या नहीं पूछ पा रहे, इस चीज को भी ध्यान में रखना है। और हमेशा ये याद रखिए जो क्रिएटिंग लेवल रहता है उसमें देयर शुड ऑलवेज बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग स्कोप इस लेवल में आने के बाद। और क्रिएटिंग लेवल का मतलब ये है कि आपका जो सत्र वो इस तरीके का हो कि कक्षाओं में डिस्कशन, बातचीत हो रही है, समूह में आपस में वो लोग बहुत ज्यादा इंटरैक्ट कर रहे हैं, हर सभी प्रकार के छात्र किस टाइप के किस तरह से उस एक्टिविटी का वर्णन कर रहे हैं, उसमें कैसे इन्वॉल्व हो रहे हैं, कैसे एक दूसरे के साथ रह रहे हैं, तो फिर इन सब चीजों का ध्यान में रखना होगा. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah.
So what I have done is created a sample lesson plan for 5
You can
days.
take this.
Sure. So the concept that I have picked up is on the concept of public transport. So this can be expanded right from say grade 1 to a grade 12 or even an engineering student easily. So just to provide us with the scope of imagination of what we can be doing in the classroom. This particular illustration is for a grade 5 student to understand the concept of public transport. So we know that grade 5 students, they're about 10 years old and they are seeing a lot around them in the world, and they already know and they already have the vocabulary to express what they see about public transport around them. So possibly we could start by introducing them to the concept by having a discussion around what they know. So in a way, we are helping them bring what their experience has been into the classroom itself. This could be varied. So we already know that as a very diverse country, and to be very context specific is extremely difficult. So when we are developing curriculum itself, but what this does is by inviting the learner to talk about their experience in the classroom, we are bringing the inclusivity into the classroom. We are allowing them to bring their experience into the classroom to talk about what they see around them and to construct their context as they see it. So it's an extremely reliable way to bring about inclusivity into the classroom. And then possibly I could be reading a story to them on the theme of public transport. Now, this story can be extremely simple when we are dealing with a grade 1 child, and it could increase in complexity, it could increase in length, and it could increase, add on to the concept itself with a lot of characters, with a lot of storylines as we move up the grade levels, right up to the point where we are talking about giving, say, a case study in the form of a story to students who are engaged with learning more about public transport and working with the sector of public transport. After this point, we encourage the students, at least for grade 5, to observe the visuals patterns that are there in the story, to observe the descriptions and engage with how the story itself has been constructed. So what is the vocabulary that we're using? What are the themes? What are the patterns that are being used in the story itself? So that would be day 1. For day 2, we engage in a short recall activity. Now, if you remember, this is the first step that we had listed in our pyramid of remembering and retention. So at this point, we pause and we ask them to recall the story and to see, it's in a way, it is assessing how well they remember what they've read. It is possible that because it's only been a day, they remember it quite well. But this is an activity that can be repeated over your academic year, where you use the same story to recall a lot of concepts and to basically test how well they are able to retain the concepts that they have learned. Now, secondly, we could have an activity where we are encouraging students to volunteer to read aloud passages from the story to the class. This is a very explicit literacy activity where the student is engaged in connecting the symbols to the sounds, and they're able to read aloud for themselves. And it's extremely important in terms of confidence building and in the way that they express themselves, and expressive reading becomes an important quality in how they're able to present themselves to the classroom and eventually builds on their public speaking skills. So if for a grade 5 student, I'm asking them to read aloud passages from the story. Eventually for a student of a much higher grade or in a college course, I could be asking them to come forward and talk a little on the subject. It could be a session like Just a Minute Jam, where they're talking about what they know about the topic itself, or they're engaged in their own research and they're able to read out that research to the classroom, or generally talk about what they're doing in the classroom. Now, then I would move on to a group activity for the classroom itself, where for a grade 5 student, we could possibly help them come up with a short skit on the concept of a public transport itself. for children of grade 1 or 2 level, I could bring out the story itself and help them visualize it in a very theatrical way, in a very dramatic way, and help them put on a skit. For grade 5 students, I could probably help them derive from the idea of public transport and ask them to bring their ideas into the classroom. So at this point, we are not only aiding them to understand what is there in the text, we are also helping them in a very, very small way to create what they have seen and to recreate and imagine and push the boundaries of what they've already learned. For day 3, what I have listed is to help the students prepare their own skits and encourage them to write down their ideas and form a script for the skit. So this is a very creative process where in which they are essentially involved in all the steps that we've seen in the pyramid. So not only have they remembered the concept, they understand the concept. They are in the process of creating creativity, which I had listed as one of the highest levels of knowledge itself. Not only are they being creative, they're also analyzing and evaluating their work, and they're working in groups to make sure that they come out with the best product there is. On day 4, I have allocated time for performance of these skits. And I've also engaged in allocated a certain time where the students are engaged in giving feedback to each other. So this could be extremely critical feedback in the sense that it is not necessarily negative feedback, but it is students who are analyzing each other's works and evaluating each other's works. So this is also a very important step in the process of learning literacy and the process of acquiring and assimilating knowledge. On day 5, we read the story again.
Deepika, sorry to stop you. Yeah, just before you move ahead, can Sanjana translate the previous slides?
So I will finish the day 5 slide, and I think she can do the whole day 1 to day 5.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So on day 5, we read the story again. So this is once again a recall activity where we are asking them to read through what they've done again, to delve into the concept a little deeper and see if their understanding has expanded. And I've assigned a short writing project where the student is allowed to summarize the main ideas from the story. So this not only tests their understanding, but allows them to be completely engaged in the concept of literacy, where I'm allowing them to read, write, listen, and speak. And once they are done with writing their ideas, they can present it to the classroom. And it is a well-rounded approach to where we started from reading the story to the point where the students can talk about the stories themselves and they're able to discuss it with their peers. So this is the 5-day plan towards teaching one small concept of public transport. I'm sorry. So if Sanjana wants to summarize what I've spoken about.
So thank you, Deepika. So यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे थे, दीपिका ने एक चीज बताई, एक छोटा सा मतलब ग्रेड 5 के जो स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं वो 10 साल की उम्र तक के होते हैं या उससे छोटे होते हैं, तो एक कॉन्सेप्ट लिया था इन्हें जिसे बोलते हैं पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का एक कॉन्सेप्ट लिया था इन्होंने, जिसके थ्रू ये जो इन्होंने डिफरेंट वो बताए थे, स्टेप्स बताए थे, एक कैसे एक एजुकेटर एक सक्षम तरीके से कैसे एक शिक्षक अपने पूरे कंटेंट को देख सकता है कि वो बच्चे क्लासरूम में वो इफेक्टिव लर्निंग के लिए यूज हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है। तो ये ट्रांसपोर्ट के मेथड से उन्होंने बच्चों को एंगेज करने की कोशिश की थी। इसका जो पहला दिन था इन्होंने बच्चों से खुद पूछा कि डिफरेंट टाइप के डिस्कशंस करे कि ट्रांसपोर्ट होता क्या है, ट्रांसपोर्ट के बारे में बच्चों से जानने की कोशिश करी। और फिर उसके बाद जो दूसरा स्टेप लिया था वो था स्टोरी को पढ़ा किसी पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट की थीम से, और जो बच्चे थे उनसे बोला कि वो ऑब्जर्व करे, वो देखे कि क्या क्या विजुअल्स है, कौन कौन से इमेजेस है उसमें और पैटर्न्स क्या क्या है, और उसके स्टोरी के अंदर है क्या, तो इसके बारे में सोचने के लिए बोला बच्चों से। कैन वी गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। सो उसके बाद जो दूसरे दिन का ऑब्जेक्टिव था, ऑब्जेक्टिव तो वही है कैसे हम ग्रेड 5 के जो बच्चे होते हैं उन्हें पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का एक कॉन्सेप्ट को समझा सके। तो डे 2 में उन्होंने क्या किया, इन्होंने बच्चों से बोला मतलब 3 स्टेप्स का प्रयोग किया, 3 जिसमें बच्चों से बोला कि कल जो स्टोरी बताई थी पहले दिन में क्या वो उस स्टोरी को याद कर सकते हैं दोबारा से। फिर बोला कि फिर उन्होंने ये बोला कि फिर दूसरा स्टेप ये था कि बच्चों से बोला किसी भी बच्चे से बोला कि वॉलंटियर कीजिए, खुद आगे आके कोई भी पैसेज या कोई भी स्टोरी के बारे में जोर से मतलब क्लास में जोर से बोलने के लिए, बताने के लिए बोला। फिर तीसरी जो एक्टिविटी थी, फिर तीसरा जो स्टेप था, हमने क्या किया, उसमें बच्चों के लिए एक्टिविटी बनाई, ग्रुप्स बनाए, एक्टिविटी करने के लिए बच्चों के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स बनाए, समूह बनाए, और स्टूडेंट्स को बताया कि क्या आप एक शॉर्ट स्किट, मतलब रोल प्ले बोलते हैं जिसे, स्किट के साथ आ सकते हैं पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट। Can we go to the next slide?
Sure.
So I'm so sorry, it will take only like 2, yeah. So जो डे 3 था, जो हमारा तीसरा दिन था, उसमें ये बोला गया बच्चों से, जो हमने जो तीसरा स्टेप बोला था डे 2 में, दूसरे दिन में, कि प्रिपेयर करके आने को स्केट के लिए। तो फिर जो तीसरा दिन था, उसमें बच्चों से बोला कि जो बच्चों के जो ग्रुप्स थे, समूह थे, उनको ऑब्जर्व किया एज ए एजुकेटर, एज अ शिक्षक हमने ऑब्जर्व किया, और बच्चों ने जो स्किट्स प्रिपेयर की थी उनमें हेल्प किया उसको थोड़ा सा और बेहतर बनाने में, या फिर देखने में कि कैसे बच्चे कर रहे हैं, कैसे वो इंगेज हो रहे हैं उसमें, कैसे एक्टिविटीज में हिस्सा ले रहे हैं। और फिर उसके बाद बोला था कि हमने जो दूसरा स्टेप ये भी किया कि हमने जो हमारे बच्चे हैं उन्हें प्रोत्साहित किया, अपने जो जितने भी हमारे स्टेप्स थे, जितने भी हमारे संक्षेप में लिखने को, अपने आइडियाज को, वो क्या परफॉर्म करने वाले। जो फिर हम डे 4 में जब आए, तो हमने हर जो ग्रुप था हमारा, उसमें 10 मिनट हर ग्रुप को दिया स्किट को परफॉर्म करने के लिए। और जब हमारा स्किट परफॉर्म हो गई, तो हमने इसी वाले दिन में बच्चों को बोला कि आप एक दूसरे का जो ग्रुप है, उसमें क्या आप एक दूसरे का मूल्यांकन कर सकते हैं, या फिर जिसे हम प्रतिक्रिया बोलते हैं। हमने प्रतिक्रिया भी जो ग्रुप ने जो परफॉर्मेंस की थी, उसमें बच्चों ने प्रतिक्रियाएं जाहिर करी एक दूसरे को, और एक दूसरे के जो स्किट था उसको एनालाइज भी किया और प्रेजेंट भी किया। जो हमने आइडियाज लिखे थे, जो हमने डिफरेंट आइडियाज लिखे थे, उसे भी एक जगह पे जो लिखे थे उसके बारे में डिस्कशन किया। तो डे 5 में क्या किया गया, पहला स्टेप ये था कि स्टोरी को दोबारा पढ़ा गया, और उसमें जो बच्चे थे, हमारे जो बच्चे थे, हर स्टूडेंट से बोला गया, हर जो बच्चा था कक्षा में, उससे बोला गया जो उनका आइडिया था इस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में, जो उनका मेन आइडियाज था, उसकी स्टोरी बनाई जाए, एक कहानी बनाई जाए 6 या 8 सेंटेंसेस की। और उसके बाद जो स्टूडेंट्स थे, जो हमारे बच्चे थे, उन्होंने अपने आइडियाज को कक्षा में बताया, एक दूसरे को बताया, डिस्कशन किया, और अपनी पीयर्स का मतलब यहाँ पे ये है, जैसे हम एक एजुकेटर है, हमारे साथ एक और कोई टीचर पढ़ा रहा है या एजुकेटर पढ़ा रहा है, वो हमारे पेयर होंगे। वैसे ही बच्चों की जो फ्रेंड है या कक्षा में जो लोग हैं, बच्चे जो बाकी बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं, आपस में जो डिस्कशन करते हैं, तो वो लोग अपने आइडियाज को प्रेजेंट करेंगे और एक दूसरे के साथ डिस्कशन भी करेंगे, एक दूसरे के साथ बातचीत भी करेंगे डे 5 में। We can go ahead, I think.
Thank you, Sanjana. So at this point, what we were going to have is a breakout session where we are talking about how to introduce dialogue-based education for a small concept like pollution and preserving the environment. So if I could request Lyman to sort of organize the breakout groups.
Yeah, I will do it. Before that, Sanjana, could you quickly mention about the activity in Hindi?
Sure, Lyman. So अभी हम क्या करेंगे, जो हमारे अभी एक ब्रेकआउट, आपके में एक ब्रेकआउट ग्रुप इसी ग्रुप का एक ब्रेकआउट ग्रुप बनाया जाएगा, मतलब छोटे छोटे समूह में आपको बांट दिया जाएगा, और उसमें आप लोग जो डिफरेंट मेथड्स होते हैं उसका डिस्कशन करेंगे, कैसे पोल्यूशन और एनवायरनमेंट को हम लोग बचा सकते हैं।
So in these breakout groups, you can choose what grade you want to teach this concept to. So whatever grade you're comfortable with, how would you go about, what are the kinds of pedagogies or what are the approaches that you would use? So if I had to teach pollution, what are the ways in which I will be teaching it? Am I doing it through textbook reading? Am I doing it through skits? And how will I make sure that there's some level of interaction and dialogue that is going to happen in these methods?
So,
yeah, I'm opening the breakout rooms. Sanjana, do you like to?
दीपिका ये बोल रही थी कि इसमें हम लोग डिफरेंट पढ़ाने के तरीकों को डिफाइन करेंगे, कि हम लोग कैसे डिफरेंट ये जो पोल्यूशन और इन्वायरमेंट को प्रिजर्व, मतलब बचाने की जो जो टॉपिक है उसके तहत अपनी कक्षा में कैसे डायलॉग का क्रिएशन करेंगे या डिस्कशन को या इंटरेक्शन बनाएंगे, उसके डिफरेंट मेथड्स को हम लोग ब्रेकआउट ग्रुप्स में अभी डिस्कस करेंगे. You can create the breakout groups.
Yeah, I'm opening the rooms. Deepika, you
Yeah.
can tell me when you want to close.
So let's give them 10 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. So now it's about it's 4:56. So we'll close at 5. 5.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Should we give few more minutes or?
I think it's already past 5, so I think we can quickly come back for Q&A.
Sure, sure. I'll close the rooms now then.
Is everyone out of the break rooms?
It will take 20 more seconds to close.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I'm not sure if 10 minutes is enough of a time period to have a fruitful discussion on how lesson plans should be structured, but I'm hoping that there were a few ideas that were floated around, and mostly this part of the session is to ask for your questions on and your ideas on what we have been talking about for the last hour. So I would invite the audience to ask their questions. Please either unmute yourselves to ask the question, or you could leave it in the chat box.
I had a doubt on the first, the slide where you said creating a pool of activities that address multiple intelligences. Could you please explain that?
So multiple intelligences is basically theories that look at how children learn. And we're saying that there is just not just one way in which they're learning. So while some students might find it easier to learn from a book, there might be other students who find it easier when they are told what is to be done, or they are hearing an audio that gives them a set of instructions, or they're listening to a story, an audio story, or maybe some students learn better if they have visuals to go with what they have. So typically we see that a lot of textbooks are devoid of visuals themselves, and I'm sure it's changing over a period of time, and that we have more textbooks with visual content in them. This is to come to the aid of students who are more comfortable learning with visuals that will aid their imagination. Similarly, we have students who learn through in a very kinesthetic manner. So there's a certain amount of movement, and there's a certain amount of hands-on work that is need to be done with them for them to be able to understand the concept itself. So this could be tactile learning in case of literacy, where they're tracing, for very young children, where they're tracing, say, their finger through a sandbox to learn the alphabet. And as they grow up the age ladder, it could also be conducting chemistry experiments, or conducting physics experiments to understand the concept. So that could be a very kinesthetic way of learning. So our pool of activities, our curriculum itself, should be able to cater to this wide range of intelligences. There is not only one way in which we are learning, but there are multiple ways in which we are learning. So that is basically the concept of multiple intelligences.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Yeah, if anyone has any question, you can please unmute yourself. Meanwhile, I am launching a poll. Please take a minute and give us your valuable feedback. But meanwhile, we can continue with the Q&A round. Yeah, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up your questions.
अगर आप में से किसी को भी आज के सेशन में कोई भी प्रश्न पूछना है, कुछ भी पूछना है इससे रिलेटेड या फिर इसके आसपास, या फिर कोई भी प्रश्न आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं या फिर आप कमेंट बॉक्स पे भी लिख सकते हैं, जो मैसेज बॉक्स है उसमें भी आप अपने क्वेश्चंस को, प्रश्नों को डाल सकते हैं।
Meanwhile, please take this poll and give us your feedback. We can still have the Q&A round. I guess there is no more question from anyone.
So that brings me to the conclusion of my session. I hope all of you had something at least to take away from it. And even though it wasn't extremely interactive, I had a lot of fun explaining the concepts that I have known and worked with. And I hope that I have future opportunities to expand more on the subject, and where we can all meet and transform the way we are changing lives through education itself. So thank you, Quest Alliance, for the opportunity as well.
Thank you, Deepika, very much for this. It was truly insightful session for all of us. And I'm sure we all are going back with takeaways that we can apply or keep in mind while planning a lesson for our learners. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this masterclass is organized by Trainer Tribe, which is an online learning community. And we are on Facebook. So please do join us on Trainer Tribe. We can have this conversation ongoing. And in case you want to reach out Deepika later on, even after this masterclass, and you want to clarify anything with her, please join us on Trainer Tribe. Deepika is with us also. You can reach out to Deepika through Trainer Tribe. And so I am sharing you the, yeah, Sanjana has just shared the Trainer Tribe link. So that is the link that will directly take you to the Trainer Tribe Facebook group. We would like to see you on the platform and be a part of the community. And yeah,
लाइवन, जस्ट टू ऐड हियर, आप में से अगर कोई भी ट्रेनर, ये जो मास्टर क्लास है जिसमें मास्टर ट्रेनर्स या जिन्हें हम बोलते हैं, वो आके आपकी मास्टर क्लासेस देते हैं फ्राइडे को, इसके बारे में जानने के लिए आप ट्रेनर ट्राइब पेज को ज्वाइन कीजिए, जो मैंने लिंक भेजा है। आप में से अगर लोग ट्रेनर ट्राइब पे नहीं है तो इस लिंक को क्लिक करके आप डायरेक्टली ज्वाइन बटन पे जाके वहाँ पे क्लिक कर सकते हैं, और वहाँ पे हर हफ्ते अपडेट होता है कौन सी मास्टर क्लास कब है। और आपको कोई भी प्रश्न हो सेशन से रिलेटेड या नॉर्मल एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड, या आप कुछ भी एज अ एजुकेटर, एक शिक्षक के रूप में पूछना चाहते हैं, तो आप ट्रेनर ट्राइब पे वो पोस्ट कर सकते हैं। उसमें बहुत सारे एजुकेटर्स उस नेटवर्क से जुड़े हुए हैं, और दीपिका से भी मिलने के लिए आप वहाँ पे उन प्रश्नों को भी पूछ सकते हैं। तो इस लिंक को क्लिक करके ट्रेनर ट्राइब ज्वाइन करिए। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Sanjana. Yeah, so please do join us. We would love to have all of you in the platform, and it is an open platform for all educators throughout the country and also out of the country. So please feel free to join, and also if you want to share this platform with your colleagues, with your peers, please feel free to do so. It is an open community for all of us. And with this, thank you everyone. Thank you, Deepika, for this session. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us. And thank you everyone for being such an amazing participant and taking part in all the activities throughout. I wish we could have given more time for the breakout session. I am definitely sure 10 minutes was not enough, but due to the time constraint, we had to limit it to 10 minutes only. But still, like I said, if you have anything, you want any clarification on anything and want to reach out Deepika, you can reach out to her through Trainer Tribe. She's with us on the platform.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So thank you everyone. With this, we can end the session and we will see you in the next masterclass that is on Friday next week at 4 p.m. All the details will be posted on the Facebook group Trainer Tribe. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And have a nice weekend, everyone. Okay, I'm ending the session now.